While social media is on trial, New Mexico prosecutors are looking to impose sweeping changes to Meta's social media apps and algorithms in an effort to protect children. The trial that started this week is phase 2 in a wave of legal pressure surrounding social media companies. Lee Waldman is live for us in New York City. So, Lee, what are state prosecutors asking for here?
Carly, it's good to be with you. New Mexico state prosecutors are asking the judge who's overseeing this case to decide whether Meta's platforms are a public nuisance. If they are deemed as that, then the tech giant would be forced to spend billions of dollars to institute changes to its platforms. $3.7 billion exactly, according to documents filed by Meta. This definition of public nuisance has been used before in major cases. Think about tobacco, opioids, and even climate change. But this case is unique because it deals with social media specifically. Now, the AG in New Mexico is asking for a sweeping list of changes here for Meta and for its platforms, alleged to cause psychological harm to children. They're asking for limits on addictive design features, algorithm recommendation changes, and improvements to its age verification. That's the one that the AG is really zeroing in on here. Now, Meta says that it will appeal last month's jury verdict and says that it would be forced to pull out services of New Mexico completely if it were to be forced with these new mandates and to spend billions of dollars on these changes, Carly.
Now, Lee, this is really interesting because actually here in Georgia this year, the governor's signing into law a ban on cell phones essentially for high schoolers during the school day. So with all of this discussion about the safety of social media, what are the kinds of conversations that parents should be having with their kids about this?
Carly, something similar actually happened here in New York in this last school year as well. We were surprised to see kids were actually in favor of having their phones taken away. It's really important for parents here to talk with their kids about what these different court decisions actually mean. Explain it to them and then ask for their opinion about it. But also ask your kids about how they're feeling when it comes to social media. How do they feel when they log off for the day? How do they feel when they sign on and maybe stay on longer than we would prefer? And talking through these decisions, it's also important that you ask your kids what changes you all should make as a family to not only protect them, but also to make sure that they're leading happier lives, and really lean into their suggestions. Kids have more helpful suggestions than we sometimes give them credit for.
Well, it will definitely be interesting to see what comes out of this case in New Mexico. I think a lot of parents are going to be following it closely. Lee Waldman, live for us from New York. Thank you so much.